Shadows podcast with your hosts, Shanclen and Bezpau.
I know you need us here for that, but oh yeah, hey everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking to Shadows podcast with here, myself, Shanclen and Bezpau.
Hi.
Went tonight, this evening, this morning, this afternoon, this time that we have here right now, you and me on this podcast.
That's all we have.
Yeah, that's all we need. You and me. End of time. Oh. No, but today we're going to be talking about paranormal experiences, paranormal things, traumatizing events, crazy things that you have been on yourself. Because you are a paranormal investigator.
Not a good one, but yeah.
I don't think you asked for this. You're kind of forced into it. But yeah. So we've been just stare at the camera real quick.
Yeah.
Just awkward silence. Okay. So now we're going to talk about you and your paranormal experiences. Tell people how you got started into the paranormal.
Well, this idiot over here
invited
invited me one day.
Oh, get the fuck out.
Yeah, no, it's like, it was one day he invited me to investigate Apache Death Cave. And at that time, I didn't grow up really too traditionally. Like, I mean, like we did have like stories, like my dad told us like certain things, like what not to do and what to do. Like other than that, we didn't really learn very traditional. And so my mom would always watch the Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, and it always seemed like fake to me. And I just didn't made me believe less about all that stuff. So I was kind of a skeptical after that. So when you invited me, I was like, okay, let's just do it. Yeah. Because at the time I didn't believe, so I was like, what's gonna happen? Like I have to work that night anyway, or overnight anyway. So I helped you out, and we caught some crazy stuff. We caught the audio device you used was capturing Navajo and Apache language. Yeah. So that was like what really solidified. I was like, okay, this shit's real.
Even for me too, like we grew up watching all those shows and everything, and then like when I first started, I was just like, okay, let's go ahead and try this out using our traditions and stuff. And getting those responses in Navajo and Apache was like, okay, these things are not, like know the languages or really anything like that. So I think that was honestly really crazy because, and then for those of you new viewers out there, my name is Shanclen. So I used to be a part of a paranormal group, and I'm pretty sure if you're watching this now, I probably already have some investigations out with this guy here. So there's a little bit behind the scenes of talking about in the future kind of stuff. So, starting out and doing paranormal investigations and everything, like, were there any effects of the investigations that happened afterwards to you?
Other than just being tired and dehydrated, that was basically the roughest part. Is like it's like after those investigations, you just feel like super. It's like being hungover without having drink anything. It's just like I could just feel like all lousy and
Yeah,
and it does take like a day or two to recover, especially if we go to like dark places, because you're just like,
That's like one thing that like a lot of people don't really understand is like when you go to these places and you interact with beings, I would say like of another dimension, it's more so of something that like exercising a muscle in your body that you are not used to. And that's like more so your spiritual body and everything. And so when you do exercise that, we call that like paranormal hangover. Pretty sure all you investigators out there who go investigate and stuff like that too have experienced that yourself. And it's just like, day or two, you're fucked. You're just at home, and it's just like you try to like recuperate and everything.
Yeah.
Like, what are some things that you do to kind of help alleviate some of that? We pray.
I mean, just relaxing afterwards, because it is kind of hard to transition yourself from the mindset of like you're talking to ghosts, and it's like you're getting information that like you want to know, but you're like, it's just like interesting because you have to go back to normal life after investigation, just like talk to people, and it's just like they're just basic, going back to basic shit, and it's like I don't want to deal with your problems. There's like bigger problems that we have to deal with, but I'm dealing with like your little complaints.
I'm dealing with the cosmic beyond.
Yeah, because we'll be talking to like spirits, like you said, from other dimensions, and we learn so much. And the next day, I had to go back to work, and they're just 9 to 5 behind the register, and it's just like it's hard to sometimes switch mindsets.
So be able to like, share, and subscribe, and become a member of the channel and everything, so we can make this our full-time job, so we don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. Make you guys some more awesome content and everything. But with these upcoming locations and everything, for Shanclen Shadow Productions, Paranormal Investigations, what's some place that you would want to go to?
Probably Jerome. Jerome seems like a cool spot.
Jerome?
Yeah.
That's think bigger. What's some place you want to go?
Oh, like bigger?
Money is no problem here. We spare no expense. We will go anywhere for you guys.
Probably where a big battle happened, like a Civil War battle. That would be pretty cool.
Gettysburg,
yeah. Or even, yeah, it seems like those spots would be cool. Maybe even, where else would we go spot? I don't know.
For me, if there's like a big, huge battle that happened, I would want to do maybe a Roman battlefield. That would be pretty cool. Sekigahara. That one I think would be pretty cool in Japan. That's like the only thing that I think of, like, if we do go international. No, I'm not gonna say if, when we go international, that we have to get some translators out there. And because like, you know how it is in the spirit box, like they speak like the native language and stuff. So like I don't speak Japanese, I don't speak Roman or anything. Like, did they speak English?
Latin.
Okay. That's like something that like I'm looking forward to. Like I'm pretty sure we already kind of said, like, we already pre-recorded this before this already started and everything, so we can have some content. But the first investigation we'll do will be more locally here in the reservation and stuff. And then we'll slowly start to make our way out and everything, as far as for, depending on the audience, if you guys like the paranormal investigations or not, leave it down in the comments. Like I said, this is already in the future. It's already happening. We already have investigations out. So comment down below which video you like the most and everything. So, but if there's a specific investigating tool that you like the most, what would it be?
That little square box that we use.
SB7?
The SB7, yeah. That's
SB7
cool.
Spirit Box. Yeah, that one's really cool. Like, I want to get some, like, cat balls. 2 cat balls and some laser beams. Those are something I really want to try out. SLS thermal and everything, too. So whenever we get all that stuff going and everything, too. So with the channel and everything, too, I'm going to be getting some armor for us. Like, actual armor, which is going to be pretty cool. So if there was a weapon of choice that you would like to use to protect yourself against the evil demons that are out there that want to try to kill you and eat your soul, what weapon would you prefer?
Daggers.
I
want to be up and close.
You
I want to look him in the eye.
Because that's something that like a lot of people will answer or ask is like, why do you guys wear armor? Why do you guys, have weapons and stuff like that? Well, man, believe it or not, these beings can actually hurt you. These beings can actually try to kill you if need be. So, in the past, we've actually had, getting pushed, getting scratched and everything. So that's why we don on armor. We don on weapons and everything to go against the evil and stuff. So all the weapons and everything that we have are blessed. So to be able to protect ourselves and everything out there. So, I don't know what videos we're going to have out, but I'm pretty sure hopefully we're still alive. Where's the wood? Knock on wood.
Let's try to go fund my account just in case.
Just in case, just for injuries in the future.
Yeah, just in case.
But inside of paranormal investigating and everything, was there ever a favorite moment that you had?
Probably when we were in Globe and we helped out those kids. That was probably one of the coolest parts that I remember.
That one was honestly pretty crazy because of the staff that was there.
Yeah, that too,
Yeah. To be able, I think, is the most gratifying feeling, is to be able to help spirits and stuff. And which is the main reason why we do what we do, We investigate, we try to help out the spirits as much as we can in locations. And because there are, in a lot of cases, there's a lot of spirits that do go missing. There's a lot of spirits that do get lost and stuff in the world and everything. So that's something that we always try to do, is try to help out spirits and loved ones of family members who may be stuck in certain places and everything. So that was a really good investigation for sure.
And I don't think I ever said this before. I think that was the first time I ever felt something touch me.
Really?
I don't think I ever told you guys because when Dave was doing the singing and he turned around and remember when that's when he realized there were kids.
Yeah.
Around that time, I had my hand like on my side and I was holding the camera and I felt like something like grabbed my hand and I freaked out a little bit because I was like, oh, and then that's when Dave said it was the kids and I was like, oh shit, I kind of felt bad. That's why I didn't bring it up because I was like, oh, it's probably just a kid. Probably made him feel bad. Yeah.
So that was like one of your first times, like
yeah, that was probably because it felt weird, like felt like something like my little brother used to hold my hand when he was younger, and that's what it exactly felt like. It was just like whoa, and it freaked me out, and I was like, oh damn it, there's probably just little kids. That's why I didn't bring it up because I kind of felt bad afterwards. Like damn, these just probably just little kids.
That's interesting, man. Yeah, it's definitely something like when the first time you're touched by, a spiritual being, and then like your brain realizes, I felt someone touch me, but there's no one actually here. I think for me, the first time that actually happened was we were investigating the Gates of Hell Cemetery in Kentucky, and we were out there and we were finishing up the investigation, getting everything packed up, and I felt my bandana. It was like this, and it was kind of windy, and it was like this, and then I felt a hand go, kind of fix it for me. And then like I felt like a hand on my shoulder and I kind of went like that. And it was we would kind of find out it was more so of a motherly spirit that was kind of came in and like kind of fixed me up, like how your mom would make you look nice and stuff, fix you up and everything. So, and then having the emotion that was with it, like did you feel anything, like any emotions with it or like anything come to your mind when that happened?
Not that I remember because I was just so like in shock of like I was like, oh, and then like I think after that was just like realization of oh, he's talking to kids, it's probably a kid, and then so like I just felt bad. But other than that, I think I was just more worried about my emotion at that time.
Were you wearing any iconic shirts in that investigation? Any WWE or Golden Girls shirts?
I think I was wearing a sweatshirt. Like I was wearing the thick black jacket because it was cold, and I remember wearing the Rock sweatshirt I was wearing.
Maybe he was a fan of The Rock.
Yeah,
maybe. So, I want to kind of ask you this too. Do you think that there's any WWE wrestlers that maybe, like, are there any stories of like WWE wrestlers that died in the ring? So do you think any of those locations where they died, do you think maybe their spirit might still be there?
Maybe. Because there is one instance of, unfortunately, Owen Hart. When his character was the Blue Blazer, I think it was like a superhero gimmick he was going for. And what they used to do is from the rafters, they used to rappel him down with like a wiring harness and that. Yeah. But one night it failed. Dang. And then he fell. I think it was like 75 feet. I think it was, and he landed in the ring. But fortunately, what happened? They said happened during a blackout. Yeah. So I think nobody saw it. They just the lights were empty. Then the lights were on and they saw Owen in the ring laying there. Yeah. And what's crazy is there's like blood. His blood was still on the mat, and they just continued the show, and you can just see the wrestlers like going so close to that where he died, and it's just, and like even the announcers, you can tell like after the words, like Jerry the King Lawler, you can just tell he knew he was gone before they announced it, because he was just like sitting there like.
So they were like wrestling still while he was dead.
Yeah, they continued the show. Yeah.
Dang, man. That's wild.
Yeah,
but like that shows like the dedication that they had and everything. It's just like, you would imagine that like they probably knew him, and then if he did pass away, he would want them to continue on the show. Would you want to ever investigate? Like, say if there was like a haunted wrestling ring like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
We gotta get the energy right, so we gotta practice some moves. Oh. That's really crazy though. Like, how amazing would it be like if we were just like investigating an old wrestling arena, there's a wrestling ring there, and we just start hearing ghost crowds.
That'd be cool.
And everything, and then you just hear all that other stuff. We're just like, say like we're in the entrance of the arena and stuff, we hear that out there, we go out there, there's no one there.
That'd be cool.
That'd be crazy, dude. So is that your new bucket list right there? Hell yeah.
Haunted rings, spooky rings,
rings. So wrestle the dead. We just need to bring a wrestling ring to every investigation. So it's like, okay, well, you investigated, now who wants to step up? Oh, fuck. Just be wrestling everybody.
Just cut a promo on those spirits out there.
It's like, come watch the spiritual wrestling match coming live this Monday. That's super cool.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you improv story time with Shanclen. We all need a good laugh. Enjoy.
Need the headphones for this one. Long time ago, our people used to roam the lands. And in these lands, we had more land. the land was inside of the land on the outside of the land. The people used to roam the land, outside and inside of the land, going everywhere, yet going nowhere at the same time. Many stories of long people going to find their sheep was the hardest thing that anybody could ever do. You never knew where these sheep would go, as they were interdimensional beasts that used to traverse the multidimensional universes. Being a sheep herder, you had to be a very strong medicinal man to be able to hunt down your sheep to make sure the evil beings of the stories of old do not consume and eat your livestock. Little baby sheep had a hard time learning to master their craft and their power. And as they grew older, they start being one with the world. Their mothers and fathers used to always lose their children every day. And in these days, that's where they would lose their babies. And as a sheep herder, you were the one to look after the baby sheep as the mother and father traversed the stars.
What?
Oh, sounds badass with the echo.
What was he saying? Oh, stop.
Now back to the show.
I heard this one question, and then I think it was like through a comedian and everything. Have we ever investigated a location and there was a newer spirit that was there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, say like our generation of spirit.
Oh, I don't know, to be honest.
Because like that's one thing that like somebody brought up was like, it's always old spirits. It's always
Yeah.
really old people and stuff like that. Like I'm trying to think and remember if there was ever a time like, I think one time, the first time we investigated the Gleason, there was a lot of kid spirits that were there. And then there was a woman that was recently murdered about like 10 years ago. She was there. And we caught her EVP voice of, I just want to go home and everything. So like any of our other investigations that we did that was some similar?
To be honest, I don't think we ever asked them, like, when did you die, right? I don't think we ever asked, like, those questions or like that.
We will now.
Yeah,
Oh.
like, I think we gotta start asking, like, when did you die?
Yeah. That would honestly be something that, like, try to reach out to more of the relevant spirits, because, like, I saw that one meme going around of Zach Bagans is, like, it's all like, who did you touch? And it was like, your mom. Is this spirit being a smart aleck? You know, like I would imagine like that would be more of a newer spirit and everything. So, you know, we'll have to try to see if we can connect with those ones too.
Instead of pentagrams with blood on the wall, it's that S with the blood.
Oh. When we used to draw in elementary school. That's how we call the new generation. But that's really cool. Like, and what's one thing that you would want to introduce into the paranormal investigations? Like, I know you're really big on music and everything. Is there anything like related to that you want to try to introduce, maybe to tap into certain timelines?
Yeah, I would be interested in how they react to different music frequencies. Like if I play a piano key, would they be able to use that vibrations and sound to manipulate it into whatever they need to, like energy? Like were they able to, if I play music on a guitar, could they use that sound and transverse it to energy?
Because I really do think that, you know, whenever you hear a certain song, whenever you hear, you know, a certain note or an instrument, there's a certain feeling that kind of goes over you and you're just like, you know, a good feeling, a comforting feeling comes. So these instruments, even though they're of music, you know, I really do think that they can transcend worlds and dimensions to where they can actually help out. That's why, like, traditionally we use singing and drums and stuff, flutes and everything to be able to appease spirits and sometimes even cryptid monsters too, to be able to help them out. And then, but that's something I think I really want to try out. And like, say, like we go and then we research the building and we research some of the people that died. You know, let's play some music of that time period to kind of see if we can get more of an interaction with them and everything.
Yeah, because like another thing about that is because you said because we also can play with the keys and the darker spirits. So you can always feel that darkness. So we can always just play like darker keys and see if we can replicate like their
malice.
Yeah.
Because I remember we investigated the Winslow PD, and that was one thing that my uncle Nalrion wanted to try was frequencies and everything, to see if he can find the right ones where spirits would be able to interact with us more. But then that's when Dave closed the door, closed the prison door and everything. We lost all of our equipment and everything inside until the next day. But that's one thing I really want to try out with you, is because you're really good at audio, you're really good at music, you're really good at sound itself. So you'll probably see in the investigations, I'll leave that up to him and everything, but we'll have to see how all that goes. So
what's your favorite instrument to use?
My favorite instrument I like to use, I would have to say, would be the REM pod. REM pod is definitely something that, like, when a spirit is known and then that thing starts lighting up, the energy just fills the room, honestly. And it's just like, that's when you, like, hearing the spirit and doing all that stuff is different compared to actually, like, seeing it standing there, like, or it's in that area when there's nothing there. And I think that's what kind of creeps me out the most, is when there's a dark being that's standing right there and everything interacting with it. So REM pod is definitely one of my favorites, I think. But with the new equipment, I think we're going to be getting, I think thermal might be one of my next favorite ones too.
Most of our audience don't know how the feeling is, but how can you explain when a big dark entity comes in? How can you explain that feeling when you compare it to like a normal spirit? How does it feel?
So when you interact with a normal, like, human spirit and everything, there is a sense of, you're just talking like how you and I are talking, like it's just another person and everything. But when a darker being makes his presence known, you fucking feel it. Like, it's just a heavy, dark feeling kind of comes over, and it's like a weird kind of buzzing in the body, it feels like, and thoughts. It's so powerful that it makes you feel emotions. It makes you think different thoughts of dread and fear and all those things. And it's just like, when they have the power to manipulate your emotions and your thoughts like that with just their presence alone, that's when it's a very powerful being. Is because when that happens, like a couple of times we interacted with a being that was so powerful, if he wanted to kill us, snap of a finger, he could. But we went about it interacting with them respectfully, like that one being over at the Anasazi cave and everything. So that right there was like, a thought came into my mind. I was just like, I just stood there, and then you were there too, and we were just kind of like, this guy could kill us at any moment. And Dave took off. He went to go talk with him and everything. And I was just like, I was just praying that, like, I hope he says the right words and everything, because if not, it's nice knowing you, bro. It was like those thoughts of like, I hope, I said the right stuff to my family, my loved ones and everything, because it can get that serious. It can, interacting with some of these beings that's out there, that's what we're trained to be able to confront. That's why we're armor. That's why we wear these things. And it's just like, when you'll know when you interact with these beings that's like that. And it's just like, damn, it always reminds me of Star Wars Episode 1. There's always a bigger fish out there. So, we've encountered some crazy deities and everything too. And you even had a recently encounter too with a cryptid recently, right? How was that? How did you feel when that happened?
At first I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. But then the second time when we all went out there and the person who I was with saw it, and Dave was already like by the gate already, and I was with the person that we were helping, and she got scared. And like when she got scared, you could just feel like a dark presence, and like for that split second I got a little headache. Yeah. And the person we were helping, she was freaking out, because she was saying that they're over there, and then Dave was over there, just doing his normal stuff, cussing them out and telling them around. But that was like the only time where I was like, whoa, that's weird. It was like a little slight headache. It didn't even last like longer than a minute. It was like just there, and then it was gone. It was like, it was kind of weird.
See, one time we interacted. This was at the the YMCA building, and this was like one of the only times where I actually got a headache during investigation. And so that's when we were interacting and dealing with the phantoms and stuff. And that one right there was like a headache. It started out the front of my head, but then like it started moving around my head and stuff. And it's just like, I've never had, normally when I get a headache, it's just in one spot, but this one was moving around my head. And I was like, I've never felt that before. You know, I was just like, this has to be something that's like manipulating the pain in my head and everything. I had to step outside, did like a little exorcism on me and stuff. And that's when I was just like, do I really have to go back? Do we got enough footage, you know, and everything? So, but, you know, I'm honestly like even dealing with all that stuff and everything. It's a wild, crazy story, but it's an experience that you don't really get to experience when you're alive, you know? And it's an experience that most human beings don't get to really feel or interact with. So honestly, with our upcoming investigations, I'm kind of looking forward to it. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode right here. It's a little bit shorter than the other one, but definitely go check out the main channel at Shanclen Shadow Productions for the new upcoming investigations that we have. So we'll definitely be doing some updates. Maybe we'll do a podcast after each investigation and kind of talk about it more in depth and stuff, and do a little director's cut on everything. But yeah, go check out that channel. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on this channel, and go check out the other one too. Become a member of the Shanclen Shadow Productions channels, and you too can join us on the journeys in the future.
Be sure to like, share and subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching and many blessings. Oh ho!
A shot.